Sheena Ringo, Musai Moratorium, we are going to begin, as promised, our track by track listen through. Yes, we are going all the way back to the debut album. We're jumping in with the very first song, which is called Tadashi Machi, Correct City. And now I did unfortunately spoil it by listening to the second track already. You guys have probably already seen my reaction to Queen of Kabukicho, but yes, we're going to be going through track by track every single song on the album. And if all goes well, if we enjoy it, if you guys are having fun with the series and you're enjoying it as well, then I will go through the rest of the materials in chronological order as well. Let's see how long it takes, but we'll go through it together. I mean, either way, I've heard enough that I'm interested to sit down and listen to all the Sheena Ringo albums for my own enjoyment. But I always think when it comes to something like this, where you guys seem to be enjoying it as well, I'm happy to put in the time to share this experience with you guys, doing it track by track, reacting to every single song one at a time. It's good for the channel, it's good for me, it's good for you. So I hope that's something we can enjoy together. Now, I had a quick look, and obviously this album, Musai Moratorium, came out in February 1999, so not long before the millennium. It's really kind of weird to think of it like that, to think of all the kids who've been born since this album came out, to think of all the bands I really enjoy where the members weren't even, their parents probably hadn't even met at the time this album came out. So this is really interesting to go back to. But yes, I'm expecting to hear kind of her rawest, maybe not her best. Artists often start off with an album that is usually their most honest and probably grabs a lot of attention because that's when they're experimenting. It's when they haven't got things they've already done and trends they've already fallen into. And by trends, I mean trends of their own creative making rather than following other people's trends. But this is a point in a career when really you are working out who you are. So I'm excited to hear this. I'm aware from some of the comments you guys have made under other videos that at the time she was struggling a little bit to get a producer that she was happy with, and I believe that the producer she ended up working with went on to I think be the guitarist in Tokyo Jihen. So I believe this album was produced once that arrangement had been made. So I'm assuming that she's happy with everything on here. But as always, guys, I'm looking forward to hearing your comments below. I really appreciate everyone being supportive on these series. Sometimes you get comments from people going, "Oh, how don't you know that?" And I just think to myself, hey, there's so much music in Japan, so much great music in Japan. Even an artist like Sheena Ringo, you can miss something really great. So help me on the journey. I will try to remember things. I will forget things as well. If you give me lots of information, I'm going to forget stuff. But as this journey goes on, I'm looking forward to sharing it with you guys. Anyway, let's jump in. This is the very first song from the very first album. This is Tadashi Machi. I am looking forward to this. That's how you do an intro. I have a soft spot for electric organs, so this is immediately. That bass sounds really interesting too. Loving how the chord patterns are just kind of walking around so intuitively. There's so much going on with the production here really nicely. The production is great. And little off-beat drop in as well. That walking bass line though is just stringing everything together so well. Man, I really like this song. Love that, using the bridge to properly build you up to the last chorus. That tension, the rising chords, the speeding up vocals. It's a really easy song to read, and yet every single change is like so satisfying. Love how the organ's gone up really high there. The bass, everything's going up, it's up, it's up. Right, I've got to stop it before the next song plays, but wow. Something tells me that feeds straight into the next song. I'm not going to hold you. That might well be my favourite Sheena Ringo song yet. Because you know the funny thing is that as I was mentioning, when you have your first album, you expect it to be the most raw, the most enthusiastic, the most urgent. Not to say that you can't have that in future albums, but this album, quintessentially for every artist, has to have that sense of urgency and rawness to it. And of course, when you're making an album, especially back in the day when people focused more on making albums actually a journey of their own, you're going to want to put a strong foot forwards. So I guess in a way I shouldn't be surprised that this song both has a cheeky rawness and also a straight up fantastic impact. I love the way it came in with that sort of distorted sound, and then just the way the drums fed in and everything just sort of burst into this beautiful musical arrangement that was so thickly layered. Now, I had a little look and I can see the people responsible for this. So obviously Sheena Ringo, she is the chief writer of her stuff, but looking here, recording arranger, associate performer, bass guitar Seiji Kameda, who went on to be a member of Tokyo Jihen, that much I know. But obviously it's worth pointing out that he's got credit for being an arranger, which is a big part of a song like this. This song has a lot of things going for it. I really love the chord pattern, I love the way the melody and everything develops, but the arrangement as well is beautiful in this. And I also really enjoyed the production that was done by Hiroshi Kitashiro. Now, I don't know, I had a little look and I can't really find out anything else about Hiroshi Kitashiro except for working on this album, so I don't know if there's any future working between Sheena Ringo and Hitoshi Kitashiro. However, I will say that on this particular album, if it's going to be produced in a similar way to this song, that's a really enjoyable thing to look forward to, because this song felt really well produced to me. The effects were nice and subtle, and it just kind of had this really good punch to it. It was a song that had rawness, but it also had a sense of scale. Yeah, I found this so incredibly endearing, so incredibly charming. It had that little bit of unhinged to it. It had a catchy chorus that is getting stuck in my head and going round and round in my head. It had a cool bass line. Really enjoyed that walking bass line. So simple, but it gave so much life to the center of the song. And as I keep on saying, I will always have a soft spot for any act that has great bass lines. I mean, as a general, that is one of the hallmarks of Japanese music, superb bass lines, or at least a degree of reverence for the concept of a bass line. But yeah, this is a wonderful example of an artist who puts that walking bass at the middle of the song so that it just allows everything to have this wonderful flow and movement. I just found this to be really lovable, the way the electric keyboards are in there, the electric organ that has this wonderful atmosphere to it as well, the way that everything built up and up in the last chorus. The last chorus had a genuine sense and feeling of being a crescendo, and that was conveyed through the arrangement. It was conveyed by the way that all the instruments start to go up. The lead guitar starts to go up and screech more and starts to feel more passion and more energy into it, and then the electric organ's becoming more and more strained sounding as they go up and up, and everything rises, and the bass and all of this is walking upwards. It was a song that really oozed personality, oozed emotional energy, but at the same time, it was catchy, it was fun, it kind of had a likableness to it. It was both raw and also kind of nodding along to you, like, yeah, we're going to have fun with this. And that, to me, I have a lot of respect for that. I have a lot of respect for an artist who can do something that has an emotional honesty and rawness, and yet at the same time has a nod and a wink and a awareness as well of the fact that we're all here to enjoy a record. What a great way to start an album. What a fantastic way to start an album. I am looking forward to hearing more of this album. Obviously, the next track we've already done, Queen of Kabukicho, so I know what comes next, which is a bit of a rock and roll interesting feeling. But then after that, we got Marunouchi Sadistic, which is a song I keep on hearing you guys talk to me about in the comments. A lot of you have really wanted to hear my opinion on that, so we're going to check it out. Now, just a quick thing I will add to this as well. I know that as we go through this track by track, there's going to be people saying to me over and over again, Howard, you should have heard the live version instead. Don't know how many times to say this in how many ways. I respect it and I appreciate you saying that. But although I've said this in other places, I'll say it here just to make it clear before we go into this. For me, songwriting is something that I care a lot about, and I do believe that the studio is often looked down upon by some people who think, oh, studios, you can't really record properly in there. I think live is great if you already know the song, because you get to hear what's changed about it maybe over time, what the artist has changed about themselves. I know Sheena Ringo does what a lot of my other favourite artists do, which is that she sometimes reinvents a song for the stage. But hearing the original is important, especially when you're doing an album, listen through and you want to get a vibe of what the album is doing. Hearing the original is important because when you hear the original, it is the version that is created closest to when the artist actually created it, closest to when those feelings were most raw, closest to when they were most excited about this song coming into existence and were bringing it into existence. And the studio, for all of the negatives it gets, I've worked with artists in Japan, both on stage and in the studio, and I will tell you that although you get problems with producers and stuff and all these horror stories, a lot of the time the studio is where the artist is just alone with their song and they have time to play around and enjoy the creative spark of turning their ideas into something that they can listen back to as a finished product. So I have a lot of respect for her live stuff. I will check it out at some point. I've seen clips for her live before anyway. I will check that out. But right now I want to focus on the studio versions, the studio recordings, because that's how I'm going to get to know the songs in their original and pure form before checking out any alterations or changes she may have made with time. So anyway, I thought I'd pop this here. So if anyone says to me, hey, Howard, you should check out the live version in the comments below this, I'll know that they didn't watch the video. Anyway, thank you so much once again. I'm looking forward to doing the rest of this album and maybe even the rest of her career if you guys want to and stick with me for it. But until the next song, and until I meet you for that and see you for that, and we continue this track by track listen through, for now, ciao, ciao.